Hello and welcome to Weekly News Highlights. Let's begin with keywords that made headlines this week. Confirmation hearings for President Lee Jae-myung's cabinet picks were held this week at the National Assembly. Nominees for key posts including the finance minister and defense minister appeared at Parliament and laid out their visions while partisan tensions continued to run high. South Korea has officially been named as the host of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee's session for next year, set to be held in Busan City in July. This is the first time the country is holding the annual meeting. With just a few months left until South Korea holds the APEC summit later this year in the city of Gyeongju, President Lee Jae-myung has now formally invited leaders of member states. July 17th marks the 77th anniversary of Constitution Day here in South Korea. The National Assembly took the time to reflect on the true ideas of democracy and the powers of Constitution. Our Shin-young reports.
The National Assembly of the Republic of Korea, the last bastion of democracy, are the words engraved on a monument unveiled on Thursday on the front lawn of the National Assembly, marking the 77th anniversary of the first proclamation of the Constitution. On the back, it commemorates the day the Assembly with the people blocked martial law troops, ending the decree's implementation and reaffirming its commitment to protect the people and strengthen democracy. Beneath the monument lies a National Assembly time capsule buried to mark the 77th Constitution Day, and it contains items that reflect the spirit of the times and will be opened 100 years later on July 17, 2125. The items include legislative and policy reports, notable bills, Dokdo-related publications, photos of the Assembly, a backup gavel, and messages from lawmakers and staff to future generations. South Korea's constitution was promulgated in 1948 based on open democracy. It was last revised in 1987 after decades of authoritarian rule. To celebrate the anniversary, the National Assembly held a special ceremony on Thursday where Speaker Woo Won-sik highlighted the power of the Constitution.
This is the first Constitution Day since the December 3rd Martial Law Declaration. In Korea, the people protect the Constitution, and the Constitution protects them. That's why the Constitution is powerful, and Korea is strong.
Woo also called for constitutional reform, saying this was needed to meet today's needs and to build a stronger democracy and improve people's lives. He floated the idea of a constitutional referendum alongside the presidential election back in April in order to address calls for decentralization of power following the martial law declaration, but withdrew this after a backlash.
We need to act before it's too late. Rather than a full reform, we should begin with small, gradual amendments that the National Assembly, government, and people can all agree on.
Posting on Facebook, President Lee Jae-myung called for a discussion on constitutional reform and urged the National Assembly to lead the process, pledging to work alongside the legislature to reflect the will of the people. Meanwhile, following several recently proposed bills to reinstate Constitution Day as a public holiday, attention is on whether it will become a national holiday again for the first time since 2007. Shin-young, Arirang News.
Confirmation hearings for the Lee Jae-myung administration's inaugural cabinet picks took place throughout the past week, where the nominees' visions and plans largely centered on security, diplomacy, and the economy. Our Kim Jung-sil has more.
Foreign Minister nominee Cho Yeon expressed confidence that an agreement on U.S. tariffs could be reached before the August 1st deadline set by President Donald Trump. When asked at Thursday's confirmation hearing whether the negotiations could conclude in such a short time, Cho said this.
It seems possible, though it's hard to predict. We are putting in our utmost efforts, and from the U.S. perspective, South Korea is not only a very important ally, but also a key trading partner, so I believe they will prioritize negotiations with us.
Cho also highlighted the potential for both countries to turn the crisis into a win-win opportunity by leveraging South Korea's strengths. If appointed, he pledged to visit the U.S. as early as next week to help finalize the crucial negotiations. Moving to security, Cho was asked whether North Korea remains South Korea's primary enemy.
North Korea is an urgent and existential threat, but it is also a necessary partner in dialogue for peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula.
Cho emphasized the importance of close cooperation with the U.S. to ease tensions with North Korea and create opportunities for dialogue. He also outlined plans to strengthen trilateral cooperation with the U.S. and Japan while encouraging constructive roles from China and Russia. Meanwhile, confirmation hearings for key economic positions also took place. The finance minister nominee Koo Yoon-chol highlighted rising inflation, declining household incomes, and worsening external factors, stressing the decline in growth potential. He vowed to lead economic reforms to boost South Korea's future growth. Industry Minister nominee Kim Jong-wan outlined plans to boost exports and investments, emphasizing trade policies to strengthen the national interest, especially in response to U.S. tariffs, and expanding global trade networks through agreements and APEC summits. As hearings continue, focus remains on how nominees' policies will shape South Korea's security and economy. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
One of the 5 nominees questioned on Tuesday was Defense Chief nominee An Gyu-baek, who could become the first civilian defense minister since 1961, breaking with the tradition of retired military generals taking the post. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung tells us more.
5-term lawmaker An Gyu-baek faced lawmakers' questions on Tuesday during the parliamentary confirmation hearing for the post of defense minister. Nominated as the first civilian defense chief in 64 years, An is widely expected to lead the transformation of the military that was mobilized during the martial law period. Asked to fulfill such expectations, he vowed to rebuild the military to earn people's trust.
What we must do now is to hold those accountable for the illegal martial law, correct the wrongdoings of the previous administration, strengthen civilian control to ensure that our military does not become a tool for private power, and rebuild a military of the people.
He added he would reform the military by boldly incorporating advanced technologies and reorganize the structure to deal with the falling number of troops. Regarding North Korea, he said ministry will support the government's efforts to establish peace on the peninsula, while pledging to seek sustainable peace based on strength.
I will militarily support the government's efforts to establish peace on the Korean peninsula, while establishing deterrence based on immense military power. A door for dialogue to ease tensions and build trust should be left open.
An was also asked about his views on relationships with allies and neighboring countries. He stated that the Seoul-Washington alliance should be strengthened and that any discourse on U.S. forces Korea trip reduction and Washington's thoughts on strategic flexibility should be closely consulted between both parties, as it is not something that one side can unilaterally assert. In terms of China, An said he would seek a cooperative relationship focusing on national interests.
Regarding China, we need to take into account various factors such as northern diplomacy, market expansion, and economic interests.
An added that the Lee Jae-myung administration will pursue the transfer of the wartime operational control from the U.S. to South Korea, based on a strong combined defense posture and the two countries' agreement on conditions, followed by their mutual fulfillment. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
South Korea's southern port city of Busan has been officially selected to host next year's UNESCO World Heritage Committee session. This marks the first time that South Korea will serve as the committee's chair. Our Park Hyo-bin has more.
UNESCO's World Heritage Committee meeting will take place in Busan, South Korea's second-largest city, next summer. In a meeting in Paris on Tuesday, officials announced that South Korea will host the 48th session, scheduled for July 2026. While the event has previously been held in other Asian countries, this is the first time South Korea will serve as chair. In response to the announcement, the government welcomed the decision and called it a historic moment.
We are honored that South Korea has been chosen to host the 48th UNESCO World Heritage Committee session next July. This will mark the first time the meeting is held in our country, and it will be a historic moment to showcase South Korea's cultural leadership to the world.
More than 3,000 participants, including representatives from 196 signatories to the World Heritage Convention, are expected to attend to review global cultural and natural heritage from multiple angles. The Korea Heritage Service noted that the announcement is especially meaningful as it comes in the 30th anniversary year of Korea's first World Heritage listings, which include Bulguksa Temple and Seokguram Grotto in the city of Gyeongju.
Since joining the World Heritage Convention in 1988, South Korea is now serving its fourth term as a committee member. We aim to promote dialogue among cultures and strengthen international cooperation in line with UNESCO's founding principles.
Officials in Busan say the city was chosen for its proven ability to host large-scale events with strong infrastructure, security, and accommodation. The city previously hosted major gatherings like the APEC summit, and officials expect the World Heritage Session to further cement its reputation as a global conference hub. And with thousands of visitors expected, the event is also projected to boost the local economy through tourism and related spending. At the 47th session in Paris, which opened on July 6th, a set of prehistoric rock carvings in Ulsan City was added to UNESCO's World Heritage List. This marks South Korea's 17th inscription on the list, and the 2026 session in Busan is expected to further elevate South Korea's standing in global heritage diplomacy. Park Hyo-bin, Arirang News.
The leaders of 20 Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation member states have been officially invited to this year's APEC summit, set to take place in the South Korean city of Gyeongju later this year. The presidential spokesperson Kang Yoo-jung told reporters on Tuesday that the invitation letters have been sent through each country's diplomatic mission. Among the APEC members invited are the United States, China, and Russia, whose leaders are drawing particular attention over whether they will attend in person. Kang explained the final list of participants will be announced once it's confirmed, and also shared that this year's event will be held from October 31st to November 1st under the theme Building a Sustainable Tomorrow. U.S. President Donald Trump has offered fresh details on planned import duties, announcing that tariffs on pharmaceuticals will be levied by the end of July, with similar timelines also set for semiconductors. Our correspondent Moon Ji-young has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump has indicated that tariffs on pharmaceutical imports could be imposed as soon as the end of this month, with duties on semiconductors also on the horizon.
Pharmaceuticals will be tariffed probably at the end of the month, and we're going to start off with a low tariff and give the pharmaceutical companies a year or so to build, and then we're going to make it a very high tariff.
Returning from a public event in Pittsburgh on Tuesday, Trump noted that the timeline for semiconductor levies was similar and less complicated to that for pharmaceuticals, though he offered no further details. These remarks suggest that these import taxes might coincide with broad reciprocal rates set for implementation on August 1st. The August 1st deadline gives targeted countries time to negotiate for lower tariff rates. Trump in recent days has sent letters to a number of trading partners, unilaterally dictating the rates for tariff on many imports, while maintaining he would continue to carry out negotiations. Trump predicted that he could strike 2 or 3 trade deals, stating,
"We're working on probably 5 or 6. Of the 5 or 6, I'm not sure I really want to do them. You know, you want somebody that knows how to negotiate, but we'll probably have 2 or 3.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration also announced plans to impose tariff on goods from smaller countries, including those in the Caribbean and Africa, which have not received tailored rates.
Caribbean countries, African countries, you have a huge amount of countries that are small, and the president's just going to deal with them sort of the way he thinks is the right way to deal with them.
Trump also mentioned that while some countries, such as South Korea, had shown a willingness to open trade following his threats, others, like Japan, had not. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News.
South Korea's cosmetics have once again broken records in the first half of this year. They've also become a must-buy item for foreign tourists when visiting the country. For more on this, we have our business correspondent Park Junan here in the studio to tell us more about the K-beauty industry's remarkable growth and the reasons why people from all over the world like it. Welcome, Junan.
Thanks for having me, Toyon.
Right, Junan, Korean beauty products have been popular for quite some time, but how popular are they really?
Just 2 days ago, I went to Myeongdong, one of the most popular areas for foreign visitors. Well, there I could spot people from all over the world shopping for Korean beauty products. They told me that K-beauty products are well known in their countries, and they're happy to buy them at a lower price than they would at home. Let's take a listen to what tourists had to say about their K-beauty shopping experience in Korea.
I heard it by social medias and friends. We have a lot of channels in France that talk about this. So every French person wants to try because it works. So yeah, it's my first time. I never tried it, so I will try and see.
We found out, well, through TV. I think it is well known that Korean beauty products are very good. And also friends and family who told us, oh, you're going to Korea, so can you bring me this or that, this product? Because they know that you are very famous for that.
I see, Junan. Now, we know that Korean beauty products are famous all over the world. What makes them stand out compared to products from other countries? What makes them so special?
You actually made a great point there, Toyon. So when asked about what makes Korean cosmetics so special, one of the industry experts told me that for their price, they are technologically advanced and that Korean beauty firms are creative when developing new products. Let's take a listen.
Cosmetics companies in South Korea are so technologically advanced and cost-effective that last year we became the third largest exporter in the world. They're incredibly creative and great at coming up with new products, which is why they're receiving this kind of attention around the world.
Another claim made by the same industry expert is that culture exposure and influence, such as through K-pop and K-drama figures, are attracting potential consumers to buy K-beauty products.
As K-dramas and K-pop have become more popular, people around the world are seeing more of Korean people's skin. I think that has contributed to a perception that Koreans have great skin because they use Korean cosmetics. Most of the products are now vegan, and there are also many functional patents behind them.
No wonder that K-beauty exports hit a new record in the first half of this year. Junan, can you walk us through the latest numbers?
Sure, Toyon. The growth of South Korea's beauty product exports is surging at a dramatic pace, backed by record figures. According to the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, South Korea exported cosmetics to 176 countries in the first half of 2025, reaching a total of $5.51 billion, a 14.8% increase from the same period last year. By country, China, the United States, and Japan were the top 3 importers, accounting for 48.1% of total exports. Although China saw an over 10% year-on-year decrease in export value, it still ranked as the #1 importer. The United States and Japan, however, saw remarkable increases of over 17% and 15% respectively. From 2012 to 2024, South Korea's cosmetics exports surged by over 850%, showing a strong annual growth trend. And if the current pace continues, 2025 could mark yet another historic high, hopefully surpassing the $11 billion mark.
K-beauty is doing remarkably well, but I'm sure there's still room for improvement and even concerns within the industry about future challenges. Tell us.
That's right, Toyon. So although South Korea's cosmetics industry is performing very well, there are some concerns that remain. Well, such as regulatory challenges and a possible increase in prices due to the 25% U.S. reciprocal tariffs. Now, let's take a listen to what a professor of the beauty industry had to say.
The government's R&D expenditure is too small compared to the increasing sales and exports of the cosmetics industry. All industries in Korea face difficulties without government support, and I think the industry can grow much more if it is supported.
Also, another industry expert raised concerns about factors that might increase product prices.
Concerns over tariffs essentially come down to pricing. Since each individual ingredient must undergo safety testing, the overall cost naturally increases. As a result, cosmetic prices inevitably rise. Rather than simply easing regulations, I believe we need to explore ways to simplify the safety assessment process while still ensuring product safety.
With rising demand from all over the world, K-beauty is now not just a trend, it's a new culture. All right, Janan, thanks for your thoughtful insights today.
Thank you, Darren. I hope to see you again soon.
The South Korean women's football team has won the East Asian Football Federation Women's E1 Championship for the first time in 20 years. Led by head coach Shin Sang-woo, the team defeated Taiwan 2-0 in the final match held at Suwon World Cup Stadium on Wednesday. Ji So-yeon handed Korea the lead with a second-half penalty before Jang Sil-gi placed Team Korea's victory beyond doubt. While most are staying indoors to beat the heat, some are sprinting right into it. And they're not doing it alone. Our Park Hyo-bin has a story.
It's 7 p.m. on a humid summer evening, but the heat hasn't stopped these runners. People stretch, chat, and tie their shoelaces, getting ready for their weekly run.
I really feel like I've become healthier through running. Even when it's tough in the summer, I think of it as a double XP event, so I push myself even harder.
When I run with the crew, I get more energy from the people around me. I end up running further than I could on my own, and I enjoy it more too.
They're the Seoul Running Crew, a free community running program held at 3 locations across Seoul. Every Thursday evening, runners meet up and split into beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels.
Right now, I'm running with the crew members here at Seoul Yeouido Park, and even when the sun's nearly gone down, the heat is intense and so is the energy.
Led by professional coaches, including former national athletes, participants are guided safely based on their pace and fitness levels. Since this season kicked off in April, all 60 spots at each location have been fully booked every single week. To support this growing fitness trend, the city has even revamped its infrastructure. Take Yeouido Station right in the heart of Seoul's business district. It now features a runner station, a dedicated facility for joggers equipped with lockers and changing rooms, so office workers can head straight out for a run after work. The station also offers live weather updates, UV levels, and wind speed, so runners can check if conditions are safe to run. There are also checkup sessions for beginner runners, helping them find the right pace range and recommending routes that match their fitness level. Despite the sweltering heat, more and more people are lacing up their shoes and hitting the asphalt. For them, summer nights aren't just about beating the heat, they're about building community, pushing limits, and making the city their own. Park Hyo-bin, Arirang News.
The original soundtrack for the Netflix animated movie K-pop Demon Hunters continues to show surging popularity. U.S. album chart Billboard 200 on Sunday announced that the soundtrack ranked second, marking its highest ranking, also up a place from the previous week. The album started off at 8th place on the chart when it was first released. Billboard also added that the soundtrack recorded 96.33 million streams in its third week, which is the highest weekly streaming for a film soundtrack since 2022's Encanto. Golden, one of the songs performed in the film, has also topped domestic charts, including Melon's Top 10, one of Korea's leading music charts. K-pop Demon Hunters also has been sparking much interest in Korean heritage and culture to a wider audience as it continues to top charts for its visuals and music. But this popularity has been appealing to consumers who look for something special. Our An Sung-jin has this report.
A demon boy band?
K-pop, an animation combining to create a global sensation. The Netflix movie K-pop Demon Hunters, which tells the story of a K-pop girl group and their secret identities as demon hunters, topped charts in 41 countries within the first week of its release on June 20. Its original soundtrack album also dominated global music charts, ranking second on the Billboard 200 and 8 individual tracks topping a variety of other charts. But it's not only the visuals and music. The movie is made even more special by incorporating Korean tradition and culture, even embedding aspects of shamanism.
Netflix has a lot of reach all over the world, so whoever did not know about the Korean culture before was introduced in some way or another.
Also, just like the K-pop part, it was a good way to combine something that's so mainstream these days and Korean culture. I think it was also a good way to educate people about Korean culture.
And this explosive craze for the animated film has resulted in a sales boost for products which bear a resemblance to characters and items that appear on screen. In fact, at the gift store at the National Museum of Korea, items including tiger and magpie badges and a pen featuring a kat, or traditional Korean hat, saw a huge uptick in sales.
This seems to be an opportunity to share Korean traditional culture with global consumers through content. Hallyu at the moment is trending with a lot of interest, so we hope to further work on disseminating our culture through these products.
The presence of such traditional icons play a true role in disseminating Korean culture beyond K-pop.
Not only is it very well made, but it's the Korean elements that become interesting and refreshing for Western viewers. With their popularity, these films serve as culture ambassadors, often more effective than government campaigns.
By blending Korean heritage with intriguing storytelling and catchy rhythms, K-pop Demon Hunters has turned into a trendsetter for global fans, fueling further interest in Korea's cultural icons. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
That is all we have for this weekend. Thank you for watching.